Officials before we get started? No? At this time, I know we have two very important issues to discuss and to have a hearing on. One, of course, is one that the city of Atlanta has been tackling with, but it is not just the city. Hello? Did someone say something? Are we bleeding over into another meeting? Do you have all of the people who are streaming in and zooming in? Are they off?
Broadcast is working on it.
Okay.
I'm messaging them right now.
Okay, I see one more elected official. Eric, wanna say your name
Bill, 75.
and where is it?
Clayton County, representative, in unincorporated Jonesboro, unincorporated Riverdale, incorporated Jonesboro, and Louisville, Monroe.
And we have our Representative Jackson. Can you introduce yourself?
District 68, South Fulton, and Fayette County.
And you're welcome to come and sit here, if you will. Okay. Thank you very much. As I was saying, we have two important issues to discuss today. And where is the cover sheet? Thank you. We have a hearing to talk about homeowners associations, property owner associations, condominium associations. It also includes trailer park associations because they are experiencing the same problems. As we know, many of the associations are doing a great job and many people want to keep them. And this is not anything to go against any of the HOAs that's doing a good job. We just have no regulations on HOAs at all. And we need to put regulations in place. And that's what this House and Senate in the General Assembly looks at, those kind of issues. So that is why we've had 4 other hearings on this topic. And we had hundreds of people to come in. We have many testimonies in writing already, and as well as the other hearings that we've conducted. So we will be looking at all of this after today's hearing. Again, something is very wrong when you own a house. You have some concerns with your HOA. Maybe you didn't paint your shutters the right color that your covenant wants, and they tell you to paint them differently, give you maybe 10 days. And on day 11, you start getting $100 fine. Maybe every single day or every single week, or maybe you were ill and something happened to your lawnmower and you were trying to get your grass cut and it grew a little too high. Maybe some HOAs now have tried to take care of their residents and cut the grass and maybe send them a bill for it. But instead, most of them are putting liens on the property. Many years ago, I see a young lady back there, Margie McLeod, who lived in the Payton Place condominiums. And my sister actually lived next door to her. And they were taking people's property because if they did something wrong or didn't pay on time or had a problem about the water bill that they all shared, the HOA took advantage and started finding them. Once you get $2,000 worth of liens against your property, whether your property is worth $200,000 or $1 million, they can sell your house on the steps of the courthouse in your county. Something's terribly wrong with that. We have to look at this issue, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Also, we have to talk about our rent control, which is truly out of control. We have foreign entities that have moved into the state of Georgia. and others who live in other states who are buying up property. And I went to visit some of the universities in our area and talk to the students. And the first issue was housing. If they don't live on campus, they have to live off campus. Their rent has doubled, tripled, and even quadrupled in 1 year. They said, what can we do about this? We used to have one roommate. Now we have to have 4 or 5 in a 2-bedroom apartment. What can we do? So we're answering their cry also today by meeting, talking about it. We've had our legislative council, our research department, and so many wonderful organizations that have come forth who were already looking at this. Not only were our students complaining about the high rent, but also our veterans. Many of them came back from war, and now they have decided not to buy a home, but to live in an apartment or a condominium and pay rent. So their rent's also doubling, and it's terrible. If you paid $1,000 for a 1-bedroom loft in downtown Atlanta, and you went to get your lease renewed, you haven't had any problems with the lease, and they go up to $3,000 a month for the same, without even, according to some of the residents, splashing some paint on the wall. They don't do anything to improve them. They just go up on them. So that is another reason we're looking at rent control. Now, why are we looking at rent control? Rent control is prohibited in the state of Georgia. Many of the other counties and states have some form of rent control, but we can't have it in our counties or 159 nor our cities because we have a prohibition against rent control. So we want to look at maybe Senate Bill 125 or some of the other legislation that some of the other representatives and senators have introduced. We want to look at them and get one good solid way to help people. And that's what we're trying to do now. We don't believe that people should be gouged. However, many landowners and landlords are complaining about it because they don't want us to tell them what to do with their property. But we're not trying to go against anyone in this capitalistic world that we live in, who's trying to make a living and having a business. We just don't think that you should be gouged. If you live in a place and the rent has been a certain amount for years, if they go up, why go up 500%? Now, some of the cities, if we lift the prohibition, it'll be in the hands of local control. Some of the counties of the cities may choose to have rent control, but that's their area and that's their citizens who elect those people who will make that decision. So we want local control. Everyone is talking about local control on all of the issues. Well, this is one where it's definitely needed. And many of the city council persons in about 6 of the cities that are in metropolitan Atlanta have told me that they are losing so many residents because the rent went up so high that people can't afford to live there anymore. Some of them are even seniors, and they can't get into the senior housing. They're having serious problems. The rising cost is ridiculous. So why not put a cap on it? Maybe your county would want to put a 10% or a 25% cap rate. If your rent was $1,000, it won't go up $2,000, $2,500 in one time that you're leasing. No. Many of the foreign entities that have come to the state of Georgia are buying up farmland, And even our agriculture is complaining because we know that when other countries take control of your land and your food, that there's a serious problem. So we don't even know who they are. So these bills that we're talking about introducing will be only something to put regulations in place, not abolish everything. So with that said, we have the first person who will speak on, let's do HOAs. Senator Freddie Powell Sims. Before you do that, I see that we have Viola Davis, Representative Davis. Introduce yourself, please. Oh, okay, she'll introduce herself in a few minutes. Go ahead. Thank you so much, Senator. Do we have her? Number 11?
11.
Mhm.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. And I do appreciate you bringing this very important issue before the entire state, not just Metro Atlanta. This is an issue that reigns true throughout the state, whether it's an ag community where, or it is close to a base where we are restricting the ownership of properties. But this is important to me. This is a personal experience that I've had over the last few days. On Thursday, January 20, okay, for the past 3 years or more, the homeowners of the Landmark, which is located on 215 Piedmont Avenue Northeast, have tried to regain their seats or a seat on our homeowners association so that we can have a voice in the management, quality of life, and fiduciary responsibilities of the organization. The association has been hijacked, arrogated, taken over by individuals or an organization of folks that are not native to this country. We are clueless as to where they came from or how they gained access to so much in such a very short period of time. Most importantly, we as homeowners are really concerned about the monetary reserves that we have in our HOA account. The building, the Landmark, has no restrictions at this time on who comes or who goes, which poses a real danger to all of the long-term homeowners or residents in that building. Most of the homeowners are elderly females who purchased these homes decades ago. They are paid for, and it would be virtually impossible to purchase comparable housing anywhere else in the city of Atlanta. There have also been 2 unexplained deaths in this building over the last year. Illegal drug presence in the illegal individuals. We suspect human trafficking and other visible lawlessness going on or taking place in the building. And this is not an exaggeration. We have documentation. We have engaged the police department, the city council, and other elected officials to hear our concerns and the long-term effects of lax rental regulations, especially short-term rentals and Airbnbs, okay? Now, we've gotten responses, and I'm not saying that the elected officials have not done what they were supposed to do, and that is to listen, but it has to be done as a body. One person or one vote cannot control these issues. It has to be done as an organization. If we think about the effects that the non-regulations have had on the landmark, you just think about what will happen to your city. I don't live in Atlanta, but I own property here. Okay. You think about what will happen to your city, because it's going to go from one building, if they can take over here, it's going to go to another building and another. And I know a lot of folks don't want the regulations because they say, you know, it infringes on the rights of the individuals that own the property, but you are allowing your city to slowly decay based on someone else's theory that, you know, I can do what I want when I want to do it, and I don't have to answer to anyone. These individuals in this building have gotten cease and desist notices from judges, and guess what they do? Exactly what they want to do. Exactly. So if it happens to one building in Atlanta, it can very well have a domino effect, and it will happen all over the city. And before you know it, your city has become a cesspool of bad apples. A lack of short-term rental regulations recorded a swift, steep decline in the quality of life for these individuals, safety, and a community feel of camaraderie. And I know my neighbors. We have so much in and out in the building. We have no idea who's there. You're afraid to get on the elevator with these, you know, the individuals that are there. And it's a very, very unsafe atmosphere right now. So if we don't have some kind of regulations that will improve the HOA problems or the short-term rental problems, it's going to escalate. It's not going to go away because it has become a money maker for a lot of individuals at the expense of homeowners. So that's all I have to say. And I appreciate you for allowing me to come and share my experience. The landmark, we were scheduled to go to court on Thursday of last week. The landmark caught fire on Wednesday. Okay. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator.
Uh-huh.
Are there any questions of Senator Sims? None? Thank you very much for your testimony, and we hope that we will be able to do something to help. We next have Representative Viola Davis, who also has put in legislation on different concerns about affordable housing. And would you kind of share with us some of the things you're doing for HOA as well as any rent control?
Well, good evening. I'm Representative Viola Davis, and I serve Georgia House District 87 in DeKalb County, primarily in Stone Mountain, Tucker, and Pine Lake. The bill I have drafted was House Bill 303. And the main reason I did that bill was because I had a number of homeowners, particularly condominium owners, elderly citizens that complained that they were having their property taken due to fees. You may owe no more than $400, $600 in a fee, but after they tack on late fees, attorney fees, and other fees, you go past the $2,000 limit, which then opens the door where they can foreclose on you. So what I did is I reassure people that when you look at my bill, it focuses on malfeasance, wrongdoing, alleged illegal activity to try and minimize that and mitigate it. And a lot of your homeowners, especially your elderly, cannot afford to go to court. And if you do go to court, not only do you have to pay for your case, but you have to pay for the case of the HOA. How many people can really afford that? So that we had an ombudsman, or we have a court that you could take your case to so that they can look at the facts and hopefully have a judgment so that you can bypass clogging up the courts with some of these cases. Because a lot of these cases shouldn't even go to court. Right. So I thank you all for coming here to give your personal testimony on why there is such a need for some type of oversight, some type of regulation, because people are getting rich on the loopholes that are taking homes from private citizens, especially our elderly. When you think about a lot of these bills, know that what we're trying to do is protect the American dream of home ownership. Because if we don't do something now, none of us are own a property. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone on this panel, do you have a question for Ms. Davis? Did you say your bill numbers? And don't you have another one also?
Oh, well,
Just tell us the number and they'll look it up later.
well, really, what we did is we had a number of bills under our housing agenda. And what I can do is send everyone a link to that. We have a flip book that has all the different bills from rental to your HOAs, POAs, condominiums. And that way you can look them up. And if you have questions, please forward them to us. I know a lot of people are not happy with some of these bills. They feel like it oversteps their rights as HOAs to that degree. What we're trying to do is help those people that are being done wrong. Okay, that is our focus. We're not trying to take away your right to have a HOA or to that degree. I would have to pull up the bills. I don't have it
It's okay.
on me right now.
I just wanted to let you know that we have a Osbusman bill that is similar to your bill.
Mhm.
And the reason I feel that Georgia could benefit, the HOAs could benefit from a Osbusman bill is because many of the people who have these concerns have no money to go get a lawyer. And if they do get a lawyer, then they have that much more fines and money that they have to pay out if they don't win. So Osbusman office would be a place where all homeowners who are part of HOA or condominium association, et cetera, if they could go and talk to them and find out their rights and find out if they can go in some kind of program or just what can happen. So we really in the state of Georgia, we don't have that for our housing, for any of the housing problems. So HOAs, if we do have a Osbusman program and pass that legislation, then that would also help a lot of the misconcerns. And also some of the HOAs will make sure that they know that they'll be reported to the housing authorities in their area if they make mistakes. So this would be a win-win, hopefully, for all HOA residents. The next person to speak would be our Representative Attorney Cummings, Terry Cummings.
Good afternoon, everyone. Is this on?
Yes.
Okay. So this is very interesting to me. I actually serve on the HOA board for my subdivision. And it's interesting to be on the other side, so to speak, dealing with issues every day. And I like these proposals. I haven't had a chance to look at 303 yet, but I will say that our problem's been a little bit different because I think we tend to be overly lenient, and we're getting some pushback from that. We have one resident that's lived in our subdivision probably for about 4 years. He doesn't live there. He moved in with his millionaire girlfriend someplace else. He's renting out the house and he hasn't paid HOA dues in years. And what happens that everybody else that has made sacrifices to keep up with those dues, they're upset because they feel like, why aren't you doing something with this guy? Why aren't you foreclosing on his house? The very thing now that the other people are doing, because we're paying and this guy's getting a free ride. Plus he's making money off of his house because he has a renter in there. So it's been interesting trying to deal with that from the, other side and try to deal with this particular individual when we can find him. But I do think that there needs to be some protections. My subdivision is unique. We have townhomes, single family homes, and condominiums. And those condominiums, they were the first thing that were built, and they were built over commercial units, that work-live concept, which sounded good at the very beginning. But unfortunately, the HOA president, if one thing by law, the condominiums have to have their own HOA. The townhomes and the single family homes, they can combine, but condominiums can't. And they were the first ones that were there. So the president, unfortunately, signed a document with the commercial leaseholders and the builders, basically giving away the whole association's right to make money and get paid over those units that they're living over. So they're almost subsidizing the commercial units now. And it's been a huge, problem and burden for them that they're like, we've been trying to help out with. And then unfortunately, I think he was sick when he signed it because he died. And his wife didn't have anything. So the association didn't go after her. Where are you going to do that? And they've been dealing with the owner now for like several years, really not being able to get anywhere, with that. So those are the kind of things I think that not only do the tenants, do the homeowners need protections, but one person should never be able to sign away all of your rights, especially when it comes to those, property rights and money that you could be getting in utility wise, instead of basically subsidizing, commercial units that are bringing in money and making money. So these, I have to be honest, before the first HOA meeting, I'm hearing that Senator James had, I wasn't even aware of these types of problems because we're just the opposite. We bend over backwards to pretty much, work with residents. And that's just how we've been operating, at least since I've been on the board for several years now. But the other problem, of course, is rent control. And in my district, we not only have rent control issues, but of course, there's a whole gamut when it comes to tenant rights, evictions, it's just a whole lot of issues when it comes to housing. I actually work with an organization called the Atlanta Housing Justice League, and then another organization dealing with Atlanta housing policy. Matter of fact, attorney Elizabeth Apley is in the audience, and I just want to recognize her work in this area because she's been, she's an advocate, she's an attorney, she's on our family caucus, and she's really been working very hard to make some changes where they need to be. And hopefully she's going to say a few words today. I don't want to put her on the spot, but hopefully she'll say a few words. But it is a very big issue. I was kind of told in another meeting today that really nothing can be done with housing. And I refuse to believe that. It's difficult. One of the things I found being a freshman legislator in my second session was that there were so many people out here in the community that were complaining about people up here under the Gold Dome not doing anything. And when I get here, I start looking at legislation. A lot has been proposed. And a lot of housing bills, very good housing bills, tenant rights housing bills to prevent discrimination. And what they typically do is they go to, they get assigned to a committee and they die. They never see the light of day. And so one of the things when I get an opportunity to talk to people, when a good bill comes along, and we have an obligation to let you know, but once we let you know, we need that activation and support from the community. Because otherwise, if it wasn't for, the only reason why we're having this hearing is because Senator James chairs her own committee. That's the only reason why, you know, so don't think all of a sudden there's been this tremendous shift, you know, down here on how people feel about these things. It's just not the case. But we really need more support when these bills do get introduced, because if you can't have a hearing in that assigned committee and get out and get to rules, you have no chance of getting that bill to the floor for a vote. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
We thank you, and that is a reason why we want to put regulations in place so that those kind of things will not happen. And Representative Eric Bell, I know that you've introduced very similar legislation to both of my bills. So I don't know whether you want to combine bills or what, but either way, we need to do something about it. And often bills start on one side, like the House, and then the Senate will also introduce a similar bill, and then you come together, whichever one gets out of that House first. But in this case, we hadn't talked about that until I looked and saw that you had two bills. So I introduce you today. He's brand new, everyone. Let's give him a hand, young man. So can you expound on, and I forgot to say in the beginning, we have a timekeeper. It's supposed to be 3 minutes for everyone, because we have many people who need to speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. My name is State Representative Eric Bell. As she stated, the bills that I'll be introducing are very similar. First is HB 852, which lifts the prohibition of rent control. As the senator said, in Georgia, it's literally illegal for a city councilman, mayor, Madam Commissioner to enact rent control for their municipalities. And that's extremely troubling, because up here, we regulate state regulations. Local commissioners, local city councils, they vet the communities that are coming into their neighborhoods. They actively go and pursue those. That's not something we actively do. That's not in our job description to spur development or housing in our communities. That's something that's best left and done and voted on locally. So as the senator said, why are we stepping on those local toes? Why aren't we empowering those local officials that have been voted duly to their job by their constituents? And like to that point, we must have rent control in Georgia. In my community, we've seen renters become what's called, not squatters, rental. When you go to those extended stays, we've seen renters become extended stay, not owners, but long-term residents. We've seen those old extended stay residents become homeless. And without any measures from the state, we're going to continue to see that trend go. Additionally, just like the senator said, also was introducing a bill to prevent HOAs from foreclosing on their $2,000. $2,000, yes, then that can make someone foreclose on your home. And for some instances, maybe your HOA president has a personal issue with you, and they can rack up phony fees. And next thing you know, you have a foreclosure on your home. And like we said, we live in a capitalist society, and we're all for free enterprise, but we first must protect the person, because there's no enterprise without people. So thank you for that, Senator.
Thank you very much. Any questions, Senator?
HB 852 and the HOA bill. Once I found out Senator James had literally the same bill, we're trying to figure out which is the best way to strategize to get those through.
Okay.
And also Representative Rhonda Taylor.
Oh, yes.
It's
Was she-
a-
Okay. She's unable to come.
But I believe only me and you have the HOA bills.
In her House bill, it's House Bill 627.
Mhm.
House Bill 627 also, everyone, is Representative Wanda Taylor. She was at our last HOA hearing. And, and speaking of hearings, this didn't just start last year. We've been doing this for a while. There are HOA boot camps, and I see one of the boot camp board of directors and founders here, and you'll be next after Councilwoman. I'm about to promote you over here. Councilwoman Pritchard, who will speak to us next, and then you'll be right after that. But we want you to just give us briefly. Unfortunately, we do have to do the 3-minute thing. But if you want to call people up with you when you come up to the mics right here. When we call you, come up to the mics. Councilwoman Linda Pritchard. Do you want to invite any of your people?
They have their individual contacts.
Concerns? Okay.
Yes,
So they've signed the list
yes,
already?
they've signed the list.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you again for this committee for doing this. Again, my name is Councilwoman Linda Pritchett from the city of South Fulton. I represent many communities that are having significant issues with HOAs, and also rent control contributes to houses being vacant when people can't afford to rent the houses.
Mhm.
We have had a lot of squatters, a lot of vacancies that wind up leaving homes open for vandalism and those type of public nuisances. So rent control rents being out of reach for people is a significant problem for our communities. I also am extremely pleased to announce that I will be introducing legislation to create an HOA task force committee so that we can have many,
That's good.
thank you, many of the residents that I have here with me today, we will be appointing them so that they can talk to the other communities that we have, gather up the stories, gather up evidence to help support the efforts that you're doing here. And also, I believe that education is very important for
Yes.
people that serve on boards, because people, sometimes people that serve, that's the only opportunity that they have to have control over their communities, but they don't know Robert's Rules of Order, they don't know parliamentary procedure, they don't understand the covenants, they don't know what they can and can't do, and they wind up abusing people. And as Senator Powell Sims has talked about, people lose their right to their enjoyment of their homes. I also want to bring out an unintended consequence of HOAs having excessive fees. HOAs many times say this is what you pay, and the residents don't see the money being applied or spent or used in their communities. HOAs are nonprofit organizations. They're not meant to be profitable. And the management companies, they amass all this money, collect all these fees. And just yesterday, I rode in Oakley Township, one of my communities right across the street from where I live, and there was an issue of illegal dumping. We saw a couch just as like this long being illegally dumped. I've seen refrigerators, tires, excessive litter, trash, illegal dumping. And although our city is going to remove it, and it's going to cost us a lot of money because it's going to take a lot of manpower, but that community is actually responsible for removing that, but they're not going to do it because these communities are not spending the money that they collect in fees in keeping their communities clean and the beautification. So I just wanted to point it out, those things, and I'm just very glad to be able to work with you on the local level to do what we can to remediate some of these issues that are coming up.
I thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you are brand new, and you went in there hitting the ground running and taking care of the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. The next person that will speak is Mr. Driscoll. I already know that. I went to Driscoll High School. But yes, please do.
So.
You do have 3 minutes, but you see, we kind of stretching it a little bit.
So I can
Okay.
stay
Thank you.
focused.
Thank you very
So,
much.
First of all, I want to say, I say good morning to all of you honorable Senate members of the legislature. So I don't know if all of you all are on the committee, I do want to speak.
Got it all right.
Hear me? Oh,
Your number,
I was just saying good morning. All right.
we have you
All
on.
right, so I represent the Georgia HOA Alliance, which was co-founded by during that time, he was Marvin Arrington Jr. Now he's Commissioner Arrington Jr., Marvin Arrington Jr. We founded it back in 2014, and it started out as an educational initiative. But throughout the years, I've spoken with various members throughout Georgia in reference to their concerns with community associations, which is the collective name for HOAs, COAs, POAs, mobile homes. You just put a name in front of it. We're speaking in reference to that. The challenge has actually been at the core is the lack of education, right? I elect my state rep, state senator, council person. They all are required to have some form of continuing education in reference to government. Now, turn my sight to the area where in my community, they actually have more control over my body and my quality of life. There's no requirement for education. There's no oversight, etc. I can just keep going. And I can speak from the trenches. I served on my board. So I've been a board member, board officer, as well as a member. And what I propose, and I've sent emails, I think I sent one to you, Viola, I'm sorry, Representative Davis, Senator James, and it was 7 pages. So I'm not reading from that. All right. So I just want to just sum up, what we're trying to cover there, right? Number one.
Excuse me, but I will make sure that all the people who are on the panel
Okay.
and others who are interested, whether they're in the Senate or on this committee or not, if they are a member of the General Assembly, they still will have to deal with this issue.
All
So you're not speaking on deaf ears.
Oh,
You're,
okay.
you're
All right.
speaking to people who can make a difference.
Yes,
Go
ma'am.
ahead, sir.
And I appreciate that, right? Because my family's quality of life matters, and I'm quite sure everyone else feel the same. But what I was trying to say is I consult with people all over Georgia in reference to their concerns. And I wish I would have had the wherewithal to start just collecting these stories and sharing them with the legislatures. But I will moving forward, right? And I've spent countless hours. Of course, I advise them I'm not a practicing attorney. That's Commissioner Marvin Arrington's job. But I can speak from tales from the trenches. I spent 6 years in litigation with fellow members in my community. And of course, I took time to dive into the weeds and learn about managing a community association. Hence is how we came up with the HOA Alliance. It actually started out in South Fulton before it became the city of South Fulton. But, we wanted to talk about establishing an HOA agency or department. And I sympathize with, I think that's Attorney Cummings.
Yes.
Pleasure. Representative in here. All right, I got you.
She represents Cobb County.
Oh, Cobb County. She wears multiple hats. Okay, so.
And she's with the Atlanta Justice League, right?
Oh, that's even better.
Housing League, okay.
That's even better. So I'm not saying that all board members are bad, but if you don't educate them, they become bad, right? Or some people would use the term incompetent. We have to encourage them to seek out that education. And I've been raised in the military to trust but verify. That's why we need that oversight. Because if you don't provide oversight, the actual management companies take over. And the management companies, and I hate to say it, attorney firms are all about the profit. And that's what we see in these communities. Their per door cost is very low. But by the time you get that invoice on an every per month basis, it's expensive. And as a member, most of us who buy homes are not setting aside money to litigate with our community. That's how they get most of us. Once you get into that litigation cycle, I'm dealing with that now in my community, and I know the rules. They just come up with ad hoc stuff. But we can't verify that. Okay, where's the process documented for verification? Crickets. That's what they do. They ignore the members. You all call them homeowners. I consider anybody who lives in a community association as members. It doesn't matter if they're renting or if they own and they're living in their own home. So we have to implement penalties for board members that are bad actors, as well as property managers who do not follow the law and the governing documents. That's what they're there for. If I, as a member, have to abide by the governing documents, there are some speculations in that document for the board of directors, for the community association, they have to follow, right? Some of them are not keeping up with the trails. They're not taking care of the retention detention ponds. Well, that can have a negative impact on members. So I encourage you all to start with that HOA agency or department, ensuring open members have communication with their neighbors. We're supposed to have access to the contact database. Crickets. If I do an open books and review asking for that information, I'm denied. But if I wanted to get it after that denial, I have to litigate. That's the rule. If you're unhappy with your community association, litigate. That's the only thing that we hear to resolve all of the matters that we see in our community.
We appreciate it, and
My
I know
time is
that
up.
you sent me
Oh.
a 7-page. But if we could, get a summary
Okay.
of, one of the things that you mentioned is training, and that has come up in every meeting, every hearing, even the hearings that were conducted by the Interstate Corporation Committee,
Okay,
and they all wanted board members to be trained,
right.
and also have a training for members.
Right,
So once you
Orientation.
become yes.
right.
So we've discussed that, and that could be a separate bill that we could introduce and possibly pass a little sooner than some of the controversial issues.
Right.
But you are a wealth of knowledge and information. I would love to sit with you more and find out more about it. But we've given you 8 minutes, and
I have 8 minutes.
they telling me to give you the hook.
Okay,
I'm gonna give you the hook.
so,
Because, we
I got
really cannot do anything without the information,
right.
from everyone.
Well,
So-
just take a look at what.
Our commissioner can
proposed.
tell you, we gotta hear everything,
Right,
right?
you're not
Don't
gonna hear
require that.
everything, but just take a look at what we proposed. And let's see if we can't get the whole home run, incremental steps is better than no steps. And that's what I would encourage the legislature to do, to watch out for the members, right? If you look at the number of members in these communities, we're the people that elect you into office.
We
So
have,
Take care of us.
I really thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you want to give us what you just said, if
Oh,
that's
it-
not.
it was
part
my summary of the big stuff, so.
of- Okay, that's what I need, the summary.
Yeah.
So
I-
we can
I
take
send that.
a copy if you check what you want us to
I can
have.
just email, it's easier.
That would be excellent.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And thank you, and we need you to move on to when we do put together some legislation.
I will be happy to.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir. We're going, go ahead. Thank you. Yeah, you can give him a hand. He was very good. And don't forget, you heard our city councilwoman say that she's gonna start a commission. You're gonna work together? Very good. Okay, we're going to talk about rent control after Elizabeth Apley and David Bozon come and speak briefly. Then we'll start. We have 6 people for rent control. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair,
You're welcome.
members of the committee. Thank you for your kind words, Representative Cummings, and for putting me on the spot. But I have testified. I
Yes, you
testified
have.
this summer, and I provided you the written testimony as a follow-up and
Yes.
the citations that I cited. So I just want to update the committee. I represent at the Capitol, Enterprise Community Partners, the Georgia Supportive Housing Association, Georgia Advancing Communities Together, Presbyterians for Better Georgia, 9 to 5 Georgia, and House ATL on housing and homelessness issues. So we certainly understand this committee's concern and priority for addressing the challenges of affordable housing. The Department of Community Affairs released last month the long-awaited housing needs assessment, and they clearly recognized, and you heard the commissioner in his testimony
Yes.
before the budget subcommittee
I did.
recognizing that there is a vast housing shortage in Georgia at all levels of the economy, but that the impact is most acutely felt by those people at the lower ends of the socioeconomic scale.
Correct.
And that's indisputable. The reality is that Georgia has fewer affordable and available rental units for lower income renters than any other state in the Southeast, except for Florida. So that's fewer than Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Tennessee. We have 34 affordable and available units per 100 renter households for extremely low income households.
Did you get that?
That's folks under 30% of area median income. And I can give this to you in writing,
Okay,
Diego.
that would
don't
be
worry.
good.
53 affordable and available units per 100 renter households for low income, and 97 affordable and available for households at 80% of AMI. So you have to get basically above 80% of area median income in order to get some kind of equity. You all will remember on October 17th of this year, the Department of Community Affairs opened up the waiting list for the federally funded housing choice vouchers that we often refer to as Section 8. They opened it up for 3 days. They had 5,000 slots. They were going to create a 13,000 person waiting list for those 5,000 vouchers. And in 3 days, more than 177,443 applicants had been filed. And I want to share a little bit.
It's very serious.
It's very serious, and when we talk about the impact of the housing shortage, we're talking about an impact that is felt most harshly by seniors and children. The Wall Street Journal had an article, I believe it was on the very day that you held your hearing in September, on the front page, talking about the highest increase in homelessness in this country is among seniors. These are people who work their entire life. They may have had a physically demanding job that they can no longer perform because of their advancing age. They weren't able to save enough so that when they got sick or their family member got sick or they had a significant increase in rent. As you know, the rent statewide in Georgia in the last 3 years has increased more than 27%, making it unaffordable. More than half of Georgia renters are paying more than 50%.
Oh my goodness. Say that again.
It's more than half of Georgia renters are spending more than 30%, and the population of people spending more than 50% is below that. I have to get you the exact. We also know that we have a dramatic impact on children. The number of homeless school children in Georgia increased by more than 10,000 between January 2022 and September 2023. And we know that the shortage of housing has an adverse impact on children in the womb before they're born. That women in Georgia, a 16-year study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association Pediatrics, of the impact of eviction on pregnant women in Georgia, and it found prematurity, low birth weight, and multi-generational adverse impacts. In addition, just the act of eviction filing, the risk of eviction, had these same adverse impacts on pregnancy
Oh, my
outcomes.
goodness.
I want to also share that recent research, national research, shows that the segment of the population most at risk of eviction are children under the age of 5. And Black children are 2 to 4 times more likely to be threatened with eviction and to be evicted.
Hmm.
20% of foster care placements in Georgia are due to unsuitable housing, even though poverty and homelessness are not supposed to be legal reasons to remove a child from their home and place them into foster care. At the same time, the state of Georgia invests nothing to support these families. Instead, they will give housing assistance to the foster parents. Other states have a different policy. And so in response to these problems, we are now working hard to pass House Bill 404. You recall this is a
House
bill, it
Bill
was-
404.
is the Tenant Protection Act. It provides for the first time that property rented for residential purposes must be fit for human habitation. It puts a 2-month cap on security deposits and requires a 3 business day notice and right to cure before a landlord can file for eviction. Today, they can tell you in the morning to get out and immediately file for eviction, triggering hundreds of dollars in administrative fees and processing fees and legal fees. And this happens month after month after month for some renters. This
So
would,
they can actually do that now.
they can do that now. Um,
And they have a 30-day notice.
She's talking so this bill passed the House
Okay.
unanimously.
Mhm.
It is going to be before the Senate and
What
we're
committee is it in?
Senate Judiciary Committee.
Okay.
In addition, we're advocating for an increase and allocation of surplus funds to the Housing Trust Fund for the Homeless, which has the legal authority to grant, to finance, to lend for the construction or preservation of multifamily rental housing, and also to invest in down
Oh,
payment assistance and
excuse me.
mortgage assistance for housing. And so we have an $11 billion unobligated surplus at this time. We spent a $1 billion last year on a property tax give back that did nothing to benefit renters or homeless people or people priced out of the housing market. We're also obviously supporting the governor's rural workforce housing fund. He's proposed an increase in that funding, but with the reminder that while the large economic development projects that the governor is concerned about, the Rivian, the SK, assert that average salaries will be in the $60,000 range, that means half of those people are going to be below that. And so those are the people that need to have access to affordable housing.
I
So-
think you read it, and now they told me it's 10 minutes that
Absolutely.
you've already had. But this is very important to us, so if I can get that information again.
Sure, I'm
I
happy
know
to
that you
provide
have
it.
sent me information in the past, but what we just talked about today, if you can make sure that we didn't miss anything, because this is the do or die time for this committee to come up
Absolutely.
with something.
The final point that I would make, Madam Chair, if you will, is that the state low-income housing tax credit is
Mhm.
the only money that Georgia invests today in the construction and preservation of affordable housing. It's now a subject of review by the Joint Tax Credit Review Panel, and it's critically important that we stand strong in protecting this source of funding. So
Thank you, and thank you for
Madam Chair,
educating
I'm
us on
happy
those
to
things.
provide it. Appreciate it.
Okay, I look forward to talking more to you. David, we're gonna, when we pick back up HOAs and just after a few of the rent control people, then we'll call you up first. Which one is David?
That's me. I'm sorry. I heard my name. Yeah.
I said that, at first I had said you'd be next, but some of these people been here since 2:30 today. And the last time they could not talk at all because we ran out of time, even though we extended it an hour and a half. So we want to make sure that we're listening to everyone. And we definitely need you because you and I have talked many times. So you just kind of highlight us when we call you up, okay? And then I have a lot of your members that'll come up after the rent control people. So I'll call all the rent control people, citizens that have signed up. And I have 1, 2, 3 right here and the mic up here. So if you want to come already, you can. Alma Lot with Teens of Tomorrow. And Minister Breedlove, Community Development. If you would come sit right here. Hey, God, I know you. Birds Angels. Eric Terrell. Jody Williams. So 1, 2, 3. And the last 2 people, if you want to come closer, that'll be Elisa Rivera and Patrice Wise. So we're going to start now with Ms. Lott. Thank you very much. You have 3 minutes and we appreciate your testimony.
I want to say good evening to everyone.
Yes. Oh, I know. Everybody.
And this is about the have and have nots.
Okay.
I've been in Divine City, English Avenue for over 30 years. I never, all the years that I've been there, seen so many homeless. We got women, children, and families up on the streets. And it's a problem that our leadership can't pass one bill to make one family comfortable. Believe me, I be out there. And whoever vote against these bills, I got some good news for you. Remember, I'm a lot. And I be everywhere. I be from county to county. And my face ought to be very familiar. I'm with some of the biggest organizations in Georgia. I will not repeat their names. But remember, we have families out here, suffering families. And our Black leadership cannot come through our communities. They plan on building a 20-story building on Martin Luther King. Where's our leadership? That's high destiny to make more people homeless. We're suffering in our own community. We're suffering. And I'm asking that y'all come out. Take a day out and see all the families on side of the street. On MLK, Josie Boone, in Vine City, English Avenue, West End communities. We can go on and on and on. But I see a lot of y'all don't care. Because every time I speak before council or something like that, your heads are turned this way. Look at me. I am a voter. I got voters behind me. I am a human. If you could pass millions of dollars for a damn dog shelter without thinking about people, what kind of heart y'all have for our people? But y'all want our votes? Who are y'all? Y'all are nobody. And I'm gonna make it clear. I'm gonna make sure you be nobody. Cause it's a damn shame y'all vote for a shelter. Fuck, so I'm sorry, man, still dogs. Y'all can vote for $1 million shelter for a dog shelter. I'm looking at the news. All these homeless people out here.
I understand
And these
know how passionate you are about
I'm
it.
sorry. The babies
but
are
we can't-
freezing outside.
I understand. We can't use
I'm
that
so-
kind of
I'm
language in
sorry.
this meeting.
I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Babies are
And you're-
freezing outside.
the-
Black and brown children.
I mean,
Black and brown children. Let's come together.
yes,
Y'all come together for a vote. Let's come together
thank
for
you.
housing.
Thank you very much. And if you want to give us that in writing, we'll be glad to take any testimonies in writing as well.
And you'll know that and give us a way to reach you so that we can,
Information on there.
okay.
They can reach me every day. Y'all want me down every day, I'll be here. I
Thank
got
you.
something else to do.
Thank you, Ms. Lott. Minister Breedlove. Oh, there you are. You have 3 minutes. And you have number what, 1?
Good evening. I would like to take this moment for all of us to pray for the King's family. The King's family is Daddy King, who I was as one of his mentors for 18 years. So we must not forget that. We're the people. And coming here today being a servant, 42-year missionary, I have walked this journey and I'm sick and tired. I'm tired of coming to the meetings that I vote for leaders and who I pray for and stand up for to do what's right. When I got a call this week as I travel across this land, I support my people because there's so many of us forget where we come from. We come from families that was poor, we didn't have, like myself, a farmer's daughter. Drive the news in the field, pick cotton for $6 all day. Why don't forget where I came from? And I was one of those millionaires, my family of the late Madam C.J. Walker. We love, we own our own town, but we still own the land, and we don't forget where we came from. Now, I support this bill 125. I don't want to come back down here again to see my people saying that you didn't support this bill. There's too many people out here is in lacking of help. I'm a senior. I'm an elder. I'm a great grandmother. And when I lost everything I had within the community of English Avenue, there 1,000 of people had a restaurant there. I supported a politician, got him in office, gave him money, food, housing, all of that. But they forget me. When I got arrested for a house in English Avenue and Vine City was not my house because somebody sold us out. About $350 million in Amazon loans, we supported the poor neighborhoods, and I lost everything I had. I left my children for 4 years being homeless, sleeping on a UPS hand cart all night long praying. But I didn't give up. It's been 22 years, and now I'm going to the Supreme Court. I will not forget. I will not forget the children that slept on the streets and how those bled and died. When English Avenue community, I served that all night long with them, praying for them, feeding them, home sheltering them, telling mother how to take care of their babies. To their please, forget all of this, ready. Come together. Why do you think Martin Luther King lost his life for us? It's time for us to wake up, people. Stop fighting against each other. Come together and get these bills passed where the people can have a livelihood of living together. If you think now if something is going on in the city, you better keep looking at what's going on in Texas. Because people are coming across the borders and taking away our citizenship. Are you going to agree to that? Are you going to stand up and fight for that? It's time for us to stand together, people. I love you and God bless you. I wrote the book across the world. The name of it is The Chosen Book. Truth Explosion. And it's on Amazon. I thank God for you. I love you all. And congratulations to you, women, the children women that we are loved and always supported, and all of you. My prayers are with you as I travel this land. God bless you and peace be with you.
Peace be with you. Thank you, my fellow world changers, sister. And all that she just said is true. You know, I've been knowing her for a long time. Thank you for coming. I know that you have been working against the homeless for a long time. Didn't really know that you had been one of them at one time. But thank you for your testimony. God bless you, and thank you for your prayers. And I see another civil rights person is coming up, Mr. Terrell. You know, you've been out there on the battlefield for a long time for the people. We also had the Urban League and the NAACP and the SCLC leaders that have been here. Some of them are still here with us. Thank you for listening, and I hope that we continue to get your support on the legislation that we're going to provide.
Thank all of y'all for giving me the opportunity. But you have to go around and see how they talk about this on the news. I went to my insurance company, try to get help. Because I had equity beat up in my what called cash value. I was gonna buy me a van so I could haul some people backward and forward. What he did, it took the money until I applied for it. He canceled my insurance. They said I would have to pay $2,000 before I can get my insurance and step it back. And I told it, no, that's not what you're doing to me. This is the stuff that we are facing. We help build America. And now this is the kind of feedback we get. Your vote is your voice. If you don't vote, I don't need you complaining. No need of you complaining. But this is stuff that I'm facing. I get ready to get on the bus. The bus driver pulling straight up by me. And then they tell us we have the right to complain about our complaints. And this is stuff I'm facing. I can't even get the mailman to get my mail. He won't get my mail because there's a guy that come from Florida to Atlanta, found out this is the easy place to gain money. And they gain money, I was taking our money. Our money that you all don't work for. I don't want to talk about it because like I said, I face it every day. Thank you, y'all.
Thank you. Our next person is Jody Williams, followed by Lisa Rivera, Patricia Wise, and who is this? And then Miss Wanda Cooper. Yes, but I'd rather that you come right here.
Okay.
Miss Jody, I want to look at you when you're talking. I like that T-shirt you got on. And she's our attorney also. Go ahead and.
I know you're kidding.
And unfortunately, I have to give you 3 minutes. Like, you know, they've been stretching the minutes, but
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I
Thank
won't
you so
take
much.
long.
thank you so much.
First of all, I wanted to address the committee. And I have a question. How many of the urban committee members are here today?
3 on the Senate side.
Yes.
3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 1, and 1 from the House on the urban affairs.
Okay. I urge,
But it doesn't matter whether you're on this committee or not. This issue might come up in judiciary.
okay,
It
but
might come up in where are the other state, local government. I've talked, we're asking that the bills that have already been put in and have signatures, that those committees that they've been assigned to, that I've talked to the chairpersons personally.
okay.
And I'm asking them to give us a vote or hearing at least on that. So we'll call you back up when the ones who can actually take it out of their committee to send it to the floor and then over to the next house.
Okay.
Okay, but it's a process, but nobody's been doing anything. And we can't continue to just hear the things. This is an action committee and that's what we want to do. So I thank you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm just.
I won't count that on your 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm just urging you all to support this bill. Please vote it out of the committee. This won't hurt landlords, homeowners, unless you intend to gouge the citizens. Our seniors are being displaced every day. I was sent information on the manor at Decatur. The 1-bedrooms have increased $400 and the 2-bedrooms $500. And they did a review on it on Channel 11. So you can look that up if you want to know more about it. Even our commercial property businesses are being closed down because the rent is unaffordable. I know 3 friends of mine who had businesses on Cascade Avenue that no longer have them because the rent has increased tremendously and they can't afford to do business in that community.
And those buildings are boarded up now, aren't they?
They are, some of them are boarded up.
And I think our fire department and police both call it the broken window theory because they continue to break in, crime increases. I think our city councilwoman spoke about that a little earlier. It's unexpected consequences to what's going on in this whole state. So please continue, and I'll try not to give any commentaries over
That's
here.
okay.
But
This is urgent that everyone support this bill because even our young people, I have a daughter at Emory who can no longer afford to be close to her school because she also works. And it's just sad because it's costing so much money for her to live near the campus. And so now she has to come back home and figure out how she's going to keep a job and continue her classes. You know, that shouldn't be something that she has to deal with at her age. So I'm urging you all, especially for our young people who are living in their cars. You see them at the Kroger, at the Walmart, sleeping in the parking lot because rent is unaffordable. So please support this bill.
yes,
Senate Bill 125. Thank you for your time.
thank you very much, Jody. And yes, one question, please. That's
Yeah,
what I was gonna ask. Is there any question?
a quick question. Have anyone spoke to the Republican senators or representatives about this issue?
Yes, we have. We've been sending them emails, calling the people in their district, and they've been calling them.
Mhm.
So they're aware of what's going on.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And y'all have really done a good job because those T-shirts were in the parade. And I heard about hundreds of people with them on just a week or 2 ago. So thank you very much for not just talking about an issue, but working hard to get it passed. You're welcome. Okay, Elisa Rivera, Patricia Wise, then who was the other people? Wanda Cooper, and then the rest of our HOA members, our veteran, right? What's your name? So let's put her down too. I mean, you're on here. There's so many names on here. Thank you so much for your patience, and please go ahead. Your 3 minutes starts.
All right, I want to thank you guys for continuing to work on it. But I want you to also hear, that I am a constituent that has been through every piece of this puzzle, from being a homeowner in an HOA, from selling through the pandemic and being outpriced of the market, going into rental housing, living in long-term stay, extended stay hotel for over a year with my family, exhausting our finances, because we could not get into a home. We were homeowners paying $1,300 mortgage. And then going into the rental market where it was so much demand. And we're just a normal, middle-class, educated family, very responsible with our finances, over 800 credit score. So we qualify for everything, but we didn't have access to it. And even in the most horrible condition where we found in your, I'm not sure if it's your district, but I spoke to you, and this is 2 years ago, we've been dealing with this, okay? So from the original time that you guys have been working on it, April 22, I believe was the first rally I attended. I was also dealing with my landlord at the time that was a slumlord. We're dealing with just inhabitable, just horrible conditions, okay? But our rent was paid every month on time, okay? But we had to deal with it because it was either live in our car with our family or stay under shelter. That was our choice. We had to come out of extended stay. We couldn't deal with it anymore. Okay, we're a family, we're homeowners, just the whole mental, I'm trying to keep it together because it's very triggering hearing all these pieces of the puzzle that I actually lived through. We are homeowners again, okay? No, because it cost us financially being priced out of the market due to appraisal issues, due to not being accessed because of the investors that come in and price us out. And I'm speaking at coming in trying to buy a property at $150,000 cash and was priced out of DeKalb County. I could not afford, I tried to buy a home in DeKalb County and I could not afford it. Okay, so the prices are starting to come down now. I've gotten my real estate license just to help deal with these issues. And it is still going on with the investors, with the long-term, whatever, low-income tax credit housing, all of the fees that you get charged. And then if you don't get selected, they don't give you that money back. So those are financial burdens that we can come together just on a consumer sense. It doesn't matter if you Democrat, but those are the type of bills that I would like to see, some bipartisan movement. Because at the point that I'm here asking for rent control and have lived through all of that and have gotten a home again, a lot of people I met along the way are not able to do that. I watched a lot of people get put out. I watched a lot of people lose their home because grandma couldn't pay the rent or the taxes, and the whole family had to get put out. And they just didn't understand the financial implication of not paying a fee. And when we went to court, I even been in the court because I had to fight my landlord. I filed through the code agency. They found him, find him a code. They find him and then they dismissed it by the time, whatever, some fake, they fixed it, but they threw it away. I had all the records, all the payments, all the bills, every bill, everything paid on time. You don't get an 800 credit score without paying for things. Okay. And so when I went to the court, even the judge, because they so backed up, they have you sign, rent assistance. You cannot get through to these programs. The landlords are getting paid the money, but the people are still getting put out. So we need to understand that something needs to be done to unbottleneck the process, loosen it up a little bit so that the money goes to where it is. Even if you qualify for Section 8 rent vouchers, whatever you call it, I don't want to be disrespectful. I just want to speak to the issues that I feel like, maybe we can find some common ground and move legislation because it shouldn't take this long.
And most of that is not under our jurisdiction. And most of that is under other counties or city jurisdictions and not under ours or federal. So that's why we need to hear from you so we can decipher what we can do on a state level and work with those other. That's why we had other elected officials from different levels here who are very interested because we have to come together and do this. And
Madam Chairman, when you need support, and I'm trying to think of the 3 minutes too. I really am.
Yeah.
But I have left my full contact information,
mhm.
phone numbers, emails. I'm a small business owner.
Mhm.
And it's just very hard. I own a tax business and I'm taking off from work just to come down here and speak so that you guys know it's real issues going on. Yeah, I know you know, but we just need the
Thank you, Senator.
solutions to
Thank you.
get loosed up so that the people that I work with, the seniors, the young people choosing to live, making that choice, a conscious choice, because it costs less to live in my car than it does to live in an apartment. And I cramped my
Oh my
family in a
God,
one bedroom apartment. I left DeKalb to come to Henry County, but we did a 1 bedroom for $1,700 a month.
It
And
is
now
not
I
just
have-
happening in Fulton or in the city of Atlanta. In fact,
a
David
statewide-
Bozon is gonna tell us about what's going on in Noonan, in Coweta County, and those
It's
other
a
areas in
statewide
South Fulton,
issue.
in Fayette County,
Yes.
in Clayton County.
And people
in
are
Henry County.
leaving Georgia because they can't afford to be here. It's like, it's not even posh to come here because it costs too much and you're not being compensated employment wise. But
I
you're
understand.
asked to pay for this high rent and then you
Mhm.
don't have access to enough
Okay,
housing.
I understand. I'm sorry to end you at this point.
Oh, no, I'm fine.
But we have how many other people who are
Thank you,
here to
guys.
speak? Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7 more people to speak. On what? No, not on rent control. One more on rent control. You. Yes, come. Who? This is her name?
My name's Wanda Cooper and I experienced a
Oh,
lot.
wait a minute, hold on. Patricia Wise, are you here? Okay, you'll be right after her. Okay.
Okay, actually, my name's Wanda Cooper and I had my HOA issue, but I won my HOA issue. What I did was I cracked the code on the HOA, okay? So what happens is anytime a HOA has an issue, let me go back. Anytime a HOA gives you a fine, if the fine is connected to a local law or ordinance, it's non-enforceable. Can't do it. You can't do it. If it's anything connected to your local ordinance, grass, parking on the street, junk cars, you must call code enforcement. Code enforcement comes out. They decide if they're going to give you a fine or not when you go to magistrate court. Only the magistrate court or municipal court can initiate those fines. If you read your covenant says if they're ever in an interference with Georgia law prevails. And so what's happening is people don't know how to fight. I got the answer. So what I did was I was displaced. Me and my children and my dog Boomer. We were displaced and I started fighting and they messed with me at the worst time and the lowest point in my life when I lost my mother. And that's when they did it to me. But they want to say, one of my neighbors said, she's not the one. And I'm not, because I promise, I said, I'm going to stop you from doing what you're doing to people. And that's why I'm so glad I met Senator James. So glad. I've seen them put illegal liens on people's homes, elderly. I even went a step further. I became a community manager. What's happening is the community management companies are taking photos, say, oh, this is your fine, and giving kickbacks. They're getting kickbacks. So my thing is, across the board, if I go to Walmart and steal something, I'll go to jail. So if you on a HOA board, why won't you go to jail too?
Right.
Send them to jail. Just plain and simple. And there are laws there, but you got to have local government, local police department and sheriff department to go and lock them up. If a homeowner
Okay.
feels like there's an issue of someone stealing, make a police report, investigate, and send them to jail. Just plain and simple.
Thank
When
you.
when they start going to jail, they'll start to listen.
I'm
They
glad
thought
you
that-
won your case. And also, I want to congratulate you because I know when I first saw you in the Capitol, your daughter or niece, was it your daughter?
My daughter.
Your daughter is the #1 student
Oh
in-
yeah,
of
that's
the-
how she
for
wrote
the
up.
state of
I'm a
Georgia.
super mom. I'm a super mom.
For the state of Georgia.
Mom.
A
And-
brilliant, beautiful young
And
lady.
and you know
What
what?
high school?
She goes to Lord Harvester Christian Academy in Douglas County.
Right.
And I
Oh,
want
my
to
district.
yeah, but my thing is you want home ownership without dictatorship, just plain and simple. Home ownership without dictatorship. That's what you want. You want to be peaceful. Be peaceful, and that's why I want I am an expert. I call myself the HOA savior. I was blessed to go through this so I can show other people what to do. I know what to do. I can go straight in your covenant.
You
You
gotta
could
go.
tell me your fine and your situation. I could tell you they can't do that. I'm good. No, I'm great. I had to go through this. I had to go through this so I can help every other individual. And another thing, what the young lady said in court, I had a 701 score. When I explained my situation to the judge, he said, "This is unbelievable." I was in eviction court. I have never in my life been in eviction court. And on top of that, when all this happened to me, my son was on there. My son is in college. You know how hard it is for a college student to get an apartment and have an eviction?
It's impossible.
And I know it. I am 56 years old. How do I look like asking for a cosigner? How? It's crazy. But I told them, I said, I'm coming to get you. You're gonna stop this. And I know my 3
It's
3 minutes.
now it's
My 3
it's
minutes
over 5.
3 minutes. I'm getting ready to go, but I said, and I'm the one. I called names. I was in Chestnut Hills. Chestnut Hills subdivision in Douglas County, and Brad and Michelle Porter of Premier Property Management gave illegal fines, and they're still getting illegal fines and taking money from homeowners in Douglas County, and it must stop.
Thank you.
And
I
I will
agree,
stop.
and I would like to talk to you more about that.
Okay.
Because I want to talk to the right people. Some of our people have to go, but know that Regina Lewis Wise, who is also a state rep, had a case like yours, and she also won. But she said it took 3 years of going back and forth. Thank you, Senator. You're welcome. Okay, how many more we have? Come on, let's line up so I can see who we have. Sit up here up front. And we gotta have 3 minutes because there's no way we can, we're supposed to be out of here by now. But what happened today is the legislature went longer than expected. So other meetings had this room prior to us. And it set us back only 1 hour. And it was 3 that cut theirs real short so we could get to it. Yes, thank you so much for your patience. But other people who have to speak, come up here now. Sit so I can see who. Oh, and our Urban League, Moore, you're supposed to be way before these people. I didn't see your name until I was canceling the list. And I saw that we didn't call you. So come sit with us up here. Thank you very much. I know you're a veteran and you served out. Thank you for your service to our country. And the 2 veterans who were on this committee have just left.
Yes.
But 3. Okay. We got 2 more. 3. Okay. Very good. But the 2 of the ones that just left have been serving our nation too.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you. But please go ahead. I know that now you out you want a good, decent place to stay. So
Yeah,
tell
I'm
us
spe-
about your problem.
Right. My name is Patricia Wise. I live in Oakley Township. I've been a homeowner there for 14 years.
Mhm.
As you know, I'm a United States Army veteran. So you say 3 minutes, I'm going to give you 2.5.
All right.
Okay. Everyone knows what the problems are in our state, in our districts, in our communities regarding the issues related to HOA, the problems, and you heard them all tonight. We can go to 12 o'clock and then for the next week dealing with some of the issues. My issue is rogue board members. We're fighting them now. We've got pending litigation with the Supreme Court that took 2 arms and a leg to collect money on. Totally unfair. We're fighting rogue board members. They're coming in, they're abusing their power. They're hurting homeowners. Homeowners are leaving, losing their homes. We have elderly, and I'm considering it elderly abuse when they take advantage of these homeowners that can't do anything for themselves. We're hearing from people from other subdivisions. They're coming to our meetings to listen, to understand what can we do, Patricia? Can we come to listen to you? And it's ridiculous. I'm sick and tired of it. And you know the old saying about us military, we soldiers never die. And I'm here to tell you, I'm here to champion my subdivision, help any other subdivision. And you're right, we need legislation. We need this SB. We need, and I don't know how to say Osbu Bondman to help us because it costs too much money of our money in a jar to get this done. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to bring it on to another member of Oakley Township, Mrs. Crystal
Thank you.
Price. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to be very quick, probably a minute and a half.
Okay.
I'm also a member of Oakley Township. Me and Patricia work hand in hand with trying to get justice there. I've been a homeowner there for 7 years. We have a board president who actually shot a member of our community. He has 3 felony charges. No, not yet. We went to
Somewhere off Old National.
Oh,
That was Camelot.
Camelot,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yes, so we went to his trial yesterday and he didn't plead guilty, so he didn't accept the plea. So now he has a trial, but he has 3 felony charges. He also does not live in Oakley Township anymore. He was signed over green space illegally according to our bylaws. So he is actually on the board illegally and causing terror in our community due to his power hunger. And as Patricia stated, we know that he's not letting us see the financials as well. So that is a huge problem. We are members paying into our board and we cannot view the financials. And our access management group is our community registered agent. So they're not allowing us, and we don't know if it's them doing it or is our board members that are telling them, do not let the members view the financials. So it's completely unfair and we're fighting and fighting and fighting. And we really hope that these bills pass so that we can live in peace.
Okay, no question. 2 questions.
You said that you requested to see the documents and they would not let you see any of the financials whatsoever?
Correct.
Okay, because that's in my bill
Mhm.
that it's mandated that they would have to.
Yes, it's in our
give you those
bylaws as
records.
well.
Okay. And it's in y'all bylaws and they still won't give you the documents?
No, nope. Yeah, so we're paying members. They're supposed to allow us. Yeah, they're supposed to allow us to view the financials, but they won't.
By Linda Pritchard, who was here
Yeah,
earlier,
she's our,
that you have not, when it's a quorum and they say it's not, and they won't vote on anything in front of the homeowners who show up.
correct. And he also has our attorneys working with him.
Okay, oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, so he leans over to the attorney at the meeting and say whatever he whispers to her, and then all of a sudden we don't have quorum. So that's what we're dealing with.
I need it.
And he doesn't even live there anymore. And he's shot a member with 3 felony charges and he's still our board president. And access management and the attorneys are allowing it, and the other 2 board members.
you sure that's not Cascade Park?
No, it's Oakley Township in District 7, the city of South Fulton.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently it's widespread and it really needs to end because you shouldn't have
I
criminals
understand.
on the
On the state level,
board.
we do what we can, but some of those things, we need to refer you to the right police officers or law enforcement.
Yes.
And Terry, good lawyer right here.
Awesome. Yeah, we
You know,
retained
And she's not gonna sell out.
Okay.
The unbought and unbought.
Reminder, we have to fire another one.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
so-
you.
Thank you. And I would love to get that in writing if you want to send it to our office. Okay. Did we give our cards out? No? We have lots. Are you leaving also, Eric? Okay. Hey, you're excused.
Senator, and thank you all very much really
Excuse me.
for this unbelievable hearing. I think Ms. Breedlove really seriously summed it up. My paternal great grandmother picked cotton 50 cents a day in South Carolina. And I listened to those stories as a kid, and sometimes I think people do get disconnected as we progress in our careers, and we sort of sometimes I think people do forget. But Madam Chairperson, I just want to thank you. My name is John Moy. I'm the Senior Director for Policy for the Urban League. And bottom line is the rent is too damn high. It's just too high. And across the state of Georgia, families are struggling. I was going to give this presentation, but I'm going to just do it off the cuff because I think that's the best way to do it so that I'm connecting with people. And the bottom line is, Madam Chairperson, is that this bill, SB 125, really is so desperately needed right now. 2 years ago, as you know, the Urban League of Greater Atlanta, we conducted the State of Black Georgia, the first time ever in the history of 100 and something years, 132-page report. Well, what we said as an organization under Nancy Flake Johnson's leadership, we said, why don't we listen? And we toured the state. And we went to Macon and to Albany and Augusta and Columbus and Savannah and the metropolitan region, and we listened on a whole host of issues. But what shocked us, quite frankly, was this situation with the rents. I could see, although it's a stretch, but I could sort of see, because based on just the market, how perhaps rents could be a little higher in the Atlanta metropolitan region. But as you get to Augusta and to Macon and to other parts of the state, how do you justify? I mean, it's just out of whack. And if Nancy were here, she'd tell you the phone calls that she gets. She talks about it all the time. People are homeless, living in cars, women and children. During the pandemic, it was ridiculous. It was outrageous during the pandemic. And we had some relief at the Urban League because we could help people. But now that those monies are gone, people are just out there by themselves. And it's women and children and anybody. If you think you're inoculated from it, one job away, a job loss, a pandemic, a health issue, there but for the grace of God. And you think you're insulated, but the world has changed. And so what I would say to you, Senator James, and to all the members, the time is now. The time is now, the time is now, the time is now. And it ain't just Black communities. Let's be clear. Let's make it plain. Okay? Everybody's having a hard time. So I think Representative, I think Eric said he was mentioning that, yes, we live in America. There's nothing wrong with somebody making a profit. Thank you, Jesus. We support businesses. We want people to make money. That's what we do. But it has to be a level playing field. It can't be, it just has to be fair for ordinary citizens. So I hope I haven't exhausted my 3 minutes. I want to thank y'all for what you're doing.
You haven't exhausted anything.
Appreciate y'all.
Fortunately, we only had the 3 minutes that we could give everyone.
It's okay.
However, what you had to say is invaluable
Appreciate
to
you.
as we move ahead
Thank you.
to answer some of the concerns that the Urban League has been fighting for,
Yes, ma'am.
and it keep increasing.
Yes.
And I know Nancy Johnson, and I know how hard she's working with students, with just citizens
Yes,
on every level. So we're here to do what you need us to do.
Yes, ma'am.
So together we might be able to pass something and take some kind of control for the people and not the politics.
And for the people,
Yes.
and for the people, and for the people, the government is here to help the people, we the people.
Absolutely.
And that's the bottom line. But I want to thank you, Madam Chairperson, and to all the members.
And thank you for your
representatives. Thank you all.
patience too. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good to always see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, good evening. I won't
Good
take up
evening.
so much time. Probably won't take me but a few minutes. My name is Sheree Norman. So everybody said everything that I probably would have said because I've been living in my townhouse for over 18 years. So everybody, I don't want to repeat anything anyone said because what everyone said is actually what I have experienced for over 18 years. But what I wanted to shine some light on, because I had prayed about it and I wanted to just do the little research. Some of the HOA's laws have not been changed and the provisions of it since 1994. And I know my daughter is like 29. So I didn't understand that part when I saw the research of the fact that even the articles was released in like 2007 and they have 20 years to possibly change and do something. So the issues that we all are having in this great state of Georgia, it would make sense to have a go-between ombudsman or whoever. I mean, hey, even if I had to take and do some volunteering time, maybe at night and they can call me, I could use my phone, whatever. I don't mind. The issues are real. They're not going to stop. They're very sophisticated and they are gangsters in the community where I live. They play on the fact that any situation of monetary gains through any community association management company, they will all pull in together and try to use anything, like everybody said here tonight, and make a buck. And it's sad. My neighbors, I've lost good neighbors. The only thing about me is that I had learned about real estate law, like the other young lady said earlier, and I learned real estate law, and I always threatened to call the real estate board or commission on any real estate agent that would be doing something that I knew was illegal because I took some classes in real estate. But last but not least, I just wanted to share that whatever you can do, it's an urgent need. We need this and we need it like really like right now. We don't need to play politics, Republican or Democrat or the race card. I just hope that this state of Georgia don't turn into a third world country. It's 59 counties in this state. It's sad. You go to Gainesville, my mama lives there. You go to McDonough, that's where I work. You go to DeKalb, I have family there. You go to Conyers, I have family in Gwinnett. This is huge and it doesn't stop. But anyway, the ombudsman would be a wonderful situation and that the constituents would need it to prevent and to help to see the unintentional and the intentional situations that is always being put before a homeowner to, like you said, to gouge and to rogue and steal. 18 years. Our dues started off at like $80. I just got a letter in the mail last month. Well, this month went up to $200 HOA dues. So I learned to just, when I get extra money, just send it. If it's $50 extra, hey, I can't get my nails done. I can't eat out. So that's how I learned to play the game with them. Just send extra money or extra $100. And that's how they haven't been able to get me. But I thank you for working on this. I know, God, you're just like an angel. I'm glad you're,
It's all
moving
of us
forward with this,
together.
and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. And I know that some of the seniors say the same thing. They have to choose what they can do and they have to make sacrifices. And now they're trying to funds, the fees have gone up so much that, and the taxes, that they have to make plans with the HOA. I pay so much, you know, a month, $89 on this, and 2 months later, I'll catch it up to this amount. And they do the same thing with their county. So
Of this week. And I had to hurry up and rush and go pay it for Fulton County.
So,
And I was threatened that a FIFO would be put on my townhouse in less than 10 days if I did not pay attention to it right away. And I told my daughter, I said, oh, this was a miracle, because remember you wanted a dog? I can't even buy that little puppy. I can't buy that little puppy. And the owner was like, these puppies really need a good home. And I told my daughter, I can't do it. I have to rush out and go pay these taxes like right away.
mhm,
So the dogs are losing homes.
okay,
And okay, they did get a great big shelter,
mhm.
starting off at 35 million. So they live better. Okay, I don't mind that for a little pretty puppy or a dog. I love dogs. But come on, human beings, let them share responsibility. Maybe they could say that, hey, if you adopt a dog or bring a dog in, we'll give you a decrease on your rent every month, or we'll give you a decrease on your home ownership. Something, we all got to make it even. Not just for the babies and the women, the disadvantaged and the seniors, for the pets too. Thank you.
I know. I thank you very much. And we will, if you have something you want to give us in writing, please too. We'll make sure that, you know, your comments are implemented. Thank you very much. HOA? Okay, what's your name? And okay, Michael Shepherd is first, and then Lance Hammonds. Okay, did you say Hammonds? Oh, do I know you? Oh, okay. I know a lot of Hammonds too. That's why I grew up with them. That's why. I'm from Atlanta too. She was mentioning all those places that she has relatives and friends in. I do too. So do you see, they'll kill me if I didn't do this, but I wanted to. So thank you. Okay.
I want to pull the rug out from under you. Miss Thomas,
Mhm.
I was going to divide my time with her to respect everyone, but I know that she has driven a long way and she's got to work tomorrow. But I know that a lot of us are sacrificing. So could we agree to let her go first so she can go on to her job tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Is that okay?
And she'll be brief.
Because I've been here before you, before
I
Senator
remember.
and Representative Davis. Good evening, good evening.
Good evening.
Senator, good evening to everyone.
And
Um,
Representative Bell.
Representative Bell as well.
Definitely.
Yes, sir, and Senator Rahman. Thank you. Okay, very quickly, the HOA tales, you've heard them all. We too,
was it?
our situation is that I'm in Clayton County. The association is Woodstone South Condominium Community. We are a community of 122 units. We pay $200 a month in HOA dues, but we have 0 amenities. Our situation is unique because the community was developed in 1972. Bylaws that were drafted along with the community in 1972 do not have the option of renewing. They expired after 20 years. They were never rewritten. There was never a vote to extend the life of them. So we've been hijacked. We have board members who don't have meetings. What you have is registration with the Secretary of State as officers of a non-existent association. And so, because you have scattered ownership, LLCs out of nowhere, LLCs in state, LLCs out of state, LLCs out of the country. And once you do that paper trail of research, You might find a person, you might find an empty building. And so in the course of trying to gather these individuals that are no longer owners, we have a hard time getting rid of the board that hijacked us. So, as Mr. Bazone has experienced, we both had the same management company, Century Management, which means we all had the same attorneys we had to deal with. And when you get to a point where you know what you're talking about and you can prove what you're saying, they're going to shut down. They're not going to say another word. We are not going to respond to you. We're not obligated to respond to you, but you better keep paying us some money. And if you don't continue to pay us some money, we can force a lien. I am a little bit differently at this stage in my life because I was smart enough to file a 13. You can't touch me right now. So I can talk as much smack as I want to without being litigated against. So in that 13, what I've noticed is they will not respond to any questions, not regarding the bylaws, not regarding any Superior Court filings that should extend the life. Nothing gets responded to short of litigation. That's all you have left. I lost my litigation. The litigation was against the board CEO. And as someone stated, they don't know bylaws. They don't know Robert's rule. They don't know how to run a meeting. You request documents from the management company and they will favor the attorneys and the HOA over the owner. So the ombudsman, again, I'm expressing, I'm pressing. I would have liked to have seen our community go into receivership, which is get an attorney, file a motion and say, we need somebody to take us over. Don't dissolve us because we've always remained solvent. This community takes in over $320,000 a year. We've never not had money. The money has always been there. It's just, where is it? Where is it? An ombudsman or receivership? I would rather see a judge appoint an attorney to take over the community and do a rightful audit, and just determine where we are to put us back on track. And that way we can take care of ourselves. Our community has landscapers, we have plumbers, we have roofers, we have
We need our
contractors.
Attorney General to hear some of this.
Well, I did the thing
just
that I
really do.
thought would eventually pull the Attorney General in, and that is to file those complaints with the Georgia Real Estate Commission, to file a grievance against one of the attorneys who actually owns a unit in the community,
Does he
creating
live
a
there?
conflict of interest. Absolutely not. And speaking of such, only one board member lives in the community. Just one.
We need regulations and that's why we're here. Thank
So,
you so much for
I
your
appreciate it
testimony
once again,
again.
and I've been emailing back and forth. I've been keeping up with the chain and everything. And I'm going to continue to express and encourage that the bill gets passed
Listen,
and hopefully an ombudsman can be assigned before we go broke trying to
I
litigate
understand.
these people.
Okay, well, we will continue. So, Mr. Shepherd,
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Question?
Shepherd.
okay.
Where
Clayton County is the subdivision.
We're
Where?
in,
Correct, Clayton County.
where?
Woodstone South is located off of Jonesboro Road and 85, behind Best Western. You
Right.
wouldn't know it was there unless you knew it was there.
Mhm.
Did you talk to your senator? Is
I
that
had-
Gail, cause she called me, Gail Davenport, called me about someone who was coming to this meeting. She couldn't make it today.
I'm not certain if it was Davenport.
The senator for your
specifically.
That's most likely,
I-
that'll be your senator on that
Okay.
side of town.
But I did also
It's-
speak with the commissioner, and of course, Commissioner Anderson, Dr. Anderson. There's only so much county involvement.
Yeah, the
that can
county
be done.
called me too,
Okay.
but they're not, I see they're not here. The only county that showed up was Fulton County Commissioner.
Gotcha. Okay.
But they don't have to be here to stream. We've been on the air. the entire time. And we've run over a whole hour. So we're gonna have to stop at this time and just hear from our last
Yes.
three people.
Thank
Are you speaking also?
I have only 30 seconds to say something.
Yeah. 30 seconds. Okay.
I see homeless families. And every day I'm faced with other individuals who are ready, just at the edge of homelessness. It's sad. If we could take the monies of the state and help those that have already identified themselves as right at that limit of needing so much help, we could really make a difference.
Thank you,
And
sir.
I believe it can be done.
Thank you, sir.
God
And that's
bless.
what we're working toward.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Michael Shepherd. I spoke at the November 9th session that you had.
Right, I
So I
remember.
won't go through that whole situation
Okay.
again, but since I spoke,
But
about-
everybody might not.
I'll quickly summarize. I own a unit in Peyton Place that I intended to make into affordable housing, working with Atlanta Housing Section 8. I bought several properties. I ended up keeping one once I learned I could not Section 8 the community because of the mismanagement, collapsed roof, electrical issues, and Atlanta Housing, I'm in agreement with. You shouldn't put people in this environment. However, in my effort to change that, I came across a cartel HOA this past week. In addition to telling you guys prior about the drug houses, they've been since shut down through the work of APD. The brothels, same situation. However, we still have a cartel HOA where this past week in front of NBC 11 Alive reporter and cameraman, I was attacked by the HOA president who we voted out physically. I had the police arrest her. I think they only gave her a citation, so I don't think they booked her, but she attacked me on camera. She's completely out of control. The rest of the board, it's a phantom board, as the lady down there spoke, to where there's no board meetings, there's no minutes. The owners who've been there for 6, 7 years, they've never received a financial statement, never been invited to a meeting. And there's bank accounts that people do not know about. And my question to you is, what do you foresee as far as your legislation, as far as reining in out of control HOAs? Because we're not talking about, hey, you're supposed to have a blue door, not to minimize other issues, but it's not a situation where your door should be blue, it's red, or you fell behind, which is unfortunate. I'm talking about an HOA that says, screw you, get out of our face. And no one could say anything unless you bring a civil lawsuit. Right now, me and my wife are about $7,000 in legal fees and another $2,000 from other people that we raised in the community. And we're not even in court yet. We're going to be eligible to file February 19th is when we're doing what's known as a derivative action to bring that organization into compliance and get them off the board. So my question to you is, what do you foresee other than the ombudsman? Because if it's a situation where an HOA is brought and it's voluntary, it's not going to work for the HOA I'm dealing with. Like, we need
We
the
wanted
civil
to
death
put-
penalty.
To answer your question.
Yeah.
We wanted to put regulations in place.
Yeah,
It's very difficult
And-
to pass anything here.
yeah,
We're in the minority.
yeah. I
And
see
you
that, yeah.
And you see that we do have some people in the other parties who are in the majority party who have personally spoken to me and said if we can get it on the floor, they'll vote for it.
Mhm.
But they don't want their names to be mentioned. They're gonna ambush it and vote with us.
Okay.
Because, and then I've had two that said even more than that. They said, my homeowners association in my area where I live and where I represent people, there's 4 other ones that have all contacted him. And he's willing to sit down with me and talk, but the session started a couple of weeks ago. I ended up being out 10 days to today. This is my first day back.
Yeah.
So, with the flu.
Mhm.
So I don't have the bug anymore.
Yeah. One suggestion that I'll leave with is that I'm hoping obviously things progress and it gets to the finish line. If it doesn't in its current form, the one thing that I would suggest looking into, the cesspool of HOAs seems to be extremely focused on the condo HOAs, where you have these inner city condo HOAs that seem defunct, but they're really not. They're registered. Somebody's registering, paying the annual dues with the Secretary of State every year, coming back I hope this passes, but if it doesn't, coming back the next session, focusing on condo HOAs, because if people are truly tough on crime, if you do not regulate these condo HOAs, you're not tough on crime because it's a force multiplier of trafficking, drugs, and other out of control activity.
You're right.
So that's
And,
my one
is that
suggestion.
Peyton Woods?
Yeah, so I'm in the Peyton Place HOA
Off of-
condominium,
off
not
of-
Peyton Village, Peyton Place condominium off of MLK and Peyton Place Southwest Atlanta District. Yeah,
That's where my sister lived
Yeah.
years ago.
yeah, it used to be one Peyton Village and Peyton condos. They're
Right.
separated legally now.
Right, well,
Yeah,
they stole hers.
I believe it.
And she didn't tell me until,
Yeah.
well, I wasn't in office either,
Yeah,
but this happened a long time ago. And Margie, who was here with the rent control,
I know her.
she's
Yeah.
a veteran and she owns her own house. She's not adversely affected by this, but she's mentally and passionately
Yeah.
a part of this because she sees so many other people. She's a veteran
Mhm.
and many of the people who she served with are having problems.
Yep.
So that's why she's a part of it and wanted you and others. Can you give are y'all familiar with?
We already know.
Okay.
Yep. Let me plug my website, restorepeyton.org. I have all of this highlighted as far as visuals, images. I even have records related to the fact that my current HOA president was voted out, owes $200,000 in unpaid fees herself.
I truly appreciate you coming back and being patient and giving us this information. It's not going on deaf ears, but you know, we're not twiddling our thumbs. We're really working
Yep.
to try to help.
Yep.
And we'll do, and sometimes you have to chip away though. Sometimes we have to see what can we pass right now. Then next
Yep.
year we're stronger.
Yep.
So we can go to the next and the next. That's what I did with human trafficking.
Yep.
I've been on this for what, 14 years. And I passed a lot of the first and only legislation and now the governor's wife
Mhm.
chose that when she got elected. And some of my bills that I didn't pass, that I worked so hard for,
Yeah,
she
I
passed.
appreciate
No pride of ownership. I want to stop this malady on our community
Yep.
and save our people. But you know, still that's the way it works around here.
Yep.
So we're trying to get someone to hear
Mhm.
this. And what you just said, like you heard the senator that started out where you hear.
Yeah, Sims.
Yes. Now she lives in another city way away. However, like Senator Sims, it's at least about 30 other House and Senate members who live far away, even Valdosta, that have condominiums they decided to buy because they've been in office a long
Mhm.
time. So they buy them and then they use them as Airbnb only when they're not having to serve for the legislature.
Yeah.
And so they're now experiencing the same thing I heard from so many other people, one horror story after another. So we do, some people who don't actually show up here and sit with us, they're listening and they're part of it.
Yeah.
So we are going to do something. I just don't know what. At this point, I'm not trying to look at that, trying to see that we all come together who are interested and serious
Mhm.
about this issue, and we're better together.
Yep.
It's
for sure.
strength in numbers.
Yep.
And so we're really trying to work on that now. And I just appreciate our committee and their patience on this too. We have two last speakers.
Senator James, this is a good session and I'm glad that I stayed to listen. Past president of the DeKalb NAACP. I chair a group out in Central DeKalb called the Rockbridge Coalition of Neighborhoods. And we have about 8,500 households that are all HOAs that we work with. We share information and we go back and forth and we try to find best practices and we work together.
Mm.
And what I want to share with you is that I think this ombudsman idea is a good idea. And the reason it's a good idea, if it's mandatory that once you get called, you have to participate. But our HOA, Water's Edge, we 1,200 households, we finally got a new HOA board after 10 years.
Mm.
And the reason they kept us out, and being an NAACP president, I understand what voter suppression is. The way they would suppress the neighborhood vote is that they said, well, if we don't get a quorum, then we don't even open up the ballots, we just move on. And they did that for 10 years. Then it got to the point where we had a non-resident, non-dues paying member as the president of our HOA. And so what I'm saying to you is that in ombudsman, a lot of this stuff, they would pick up and say, this is foolishness. And so, but this foolishness costs, we had to go door to door. We had to raise $40,000 of our own money to hire an attorney to fight this group. Our HOA used $100,000 of our money to fight us. So first round, we went to court. The judge said, this is stupid. No, you're off the board. This rocks. So they took it. So our HOA board appealed it, and they got into the language of the documents, and most covenants and bylaws are pretty screwy, and you can kind of interpret them any kind of way you want to. And we lost that one. They put the non-dues paying president back on the board, and they invalidated the election. So we raised a couple other $1,000, and we got it. We had a merciful attorney that took the case to the Georgia Court of Appeals.
Mm-hmm.
And at the Georgia Court of Appeals, the first thing the judge said, he said, so why are we here? We're here to litigate a non-dues paying homeowner. And then he kind of got back into his legal presence and said, okay, let's deal with the documents. The result is that they ruled in our favor that a non-dues paying, non-resident cannot be a member of our HOA board, and also that a quorum is not required for the election of the board of directors. So that is law, that is a legal precedence, and I'm not an attorney, that has been put in place. So my thing is if we can get the ombudsman in place, then that would save a lot of neighborhoods a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you can't get it in place, if you can take those two pieces of again, I'm not an attorney, case law, things that were resolved in court, and you could just say, put it somewhere in your bill, or just can make a special bill that says, okay, this bill is called, if you don't live there, you can't participate. If you don't pay, you can't participate. And HOA quorums are not required for HOA board elections. And if you can make it just that simple, then that would get you going a long way, and that would solve a lot of problems. The bottom line is that since we won our case, we have been able to seat a new HOA board after 10 years. So we got that done. And believe it or not, the board that we put out, they were trying to get their attorney and the management company to file an appeal with the Georgia State Supreme Court to get foolishness taken to one extra level, but it didn't happen.
It's the ombudsman.
So again, those are the points
We
that,
have an ombudsman deal.
okay, so I just want
It
to,
is Senate Bill 356. So it only refers to ombudsman and how they would come out of the Community Affairs Committee.
okay,
Department rather, and how each HOA would charge like $25 a year for each person to be a member of it. So it's sort of like
right. And like I say,
it's a fee because that person has to be paid, and we have to have enough ombudsman who would actually be available for all 159 counties. So in order to do that, we've done the numbers,
okay,
and all we got to do now is try to pass. It's
okay,
in judiciary. So we have to get it out of judiciary committee.
okay.
I have a question for you. There are a number of people that contacted me because I highlighted your case, and they had a problem with the fact that you didn't have to have a quorum to elect the board. How do you feel about that? Do you agree with that, or you don't agree
Well, I
with that?
agree with it, because what you do is the way they suppressed the vote in our neighborhood, it had to be 1/3 of the financial members. Now, on the surface, that sounds simple. We got 1,200 households, and at any one time, we got about 700-800 people that are financial at that time. So typically we need about 300 people out of the 1,200 households. And you say, well, that's a pretty low threshold. But when you try to get neighbors to vote for stuff like that, when they've got other things going on in their life, is difficult. And so in our same bylaws, in most of the bylaws, your board of directors can, they could have just said, well, you know, we're not going to go by this because this is not good for our neighborhood. And that language is in most covenants, but they chose to enforce that to keep themselves in power for that long period of time. And they would have still been there if we didn't have, and not just me, but there are a group of neighbors that got together and says, we're tired and we're not going to take it anymore. And they just stayed with it. And so this, like, again, if you can just take those two things and get them in some kind of way, the ombudsman thing would be the best way to do it. But if you could just come up with if you don't live there, you can't be on a board bill, or if you don't, you know, that kind of simple, just keep it as simple as possible. Then maybe nobody could just say, this is going to cost us money. They can just say, well, this makes common sense. You know, I don't think they could fight that, but that's all I have
And
to
we
say.
also add within my bill, because this was a major complaint.
Sure.
If you are on the board, you can't be in line to buy the property once it's foreclosed. And none of your family, you know, as far as having the brother do the landscaping and all that, it cuts all that out.
Right. And our bylaws do say that if you're on the board, you cannot work there or benefit financially. But I mean, if nobody sees the records of the bills, nobody knows.
Right.
So, but thank you for your time. I think you guys are on to something really major that I think once you get it in place, you'll see other states jump on the bandwagon, because it's not just here, it's everywhere.
And there are many other states that don't have the same problem.
Okay, good.
So we've looked at about 9 other states with different legislation and seeing how it's working and how long it took them to pass it. And we're evaluating at this time to try to get legislation that will pass.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for your patience. David, last but certainly not least.
It's hard to be the closer,
That's all right.
but I will be brief. So you all know this, and I feel as a country that we are at the cusp of an entirely different level of law and governance. So we have these Acropolis, these city-state models that are neighborhoods. We went to Noonan City Government, and Noonan City Government told me, we don't touch HOAs. And I said, but it's in your city, right? So, you know, you have with our mayor, we've been on a rezoning spree, as I call it. This is my opinion, that I went to speak at one of the city council meetings, and I asked the council members, have you looked at your covenants? Because you are dividing up the city to developers who want to put in these new developments and put HOAs over them. And the developers are going to have control over a majority of these new HOAs for the next 10 years. So you're giving our city away to corporations that don't live here and don't have citizens in mind. This is Noonan, the so-called city of homes.
Right.
And we want to take it back. And so what, and I'm going to try not to get too into the weeds. So what y'all know, and what I want the legislature to know, is that because this HOA law, and people laugh at that, HOA law, like it's something to joke about, because HOA law and HOAs have gone unregulated, we see these are the effects. And it moves me because my community is behind me. And when I think of these cases, I see one of our homeowners. I see one of the families that has a story. And so with an ombudsman, then we could at least have mediation. Because with Century Management, Dunlap and Gardner, Lesagan Johansson, the people have come into our neighborhood, and even with an official per covenants, and I promise you, between my wife and I have read them more than the lawyers have, because I go to sleep with that every night next to my bed, is we've had to take these bad actors out. And what I would tell to your constituents is bad business is bad for good business. I had a homeowner come to me and say, do you really think you're gonna, because I said, well, maybe we can find an honest management company. And they said, fine, but do you really think that the homeowners are going to accept a management company after what happened in our neighborhood when they came in and knew the developer and brought in the attorneys and worked with, we have a letter actually that we found previously with records where someone, for whatever reason, told the management company, you realize that you're not charging the 18% that's allowed by law. You're charging 1.5% on the total balance, which means usury, which means that they are killing people by interest. They're going after and compounding interest so that people just can't keep up. And that's what we saw with Mr. Roberto when I came to the first meeting. And Senator Rahman was so kind as to speak to us as well with our homeowners. And so this ombudsman is going to be a good way to mediate and get our foot in the door. And then just as with Carell Driscoll, we need good training to not have amateurs and greenhorns over the $80,000 that we recovered from the management company to see how they're going to decide to do it. We need, we have our partners, HOA Alliance and Hurling, which is homeowners' rights, and HOA Fight Club, who all do this wonderful job and are all saying the same thing. We need oversight. When the cat is away, the mice will play. And that is what's happening with all of these cases, is because when you know that no one's going to hold you accountable, it is fertile grounds for abuse. And that goes for, so when I explain HOAs, and then I'm trying to wrap up. We've been here and it's been a good session. I explained in three kind of phases. One is when you have abusive directors. There's no oversight. Our directors didn't even register with the Secretary of State for 4 months. We have the phantom directors that are here. So, and we see the abuses where they, with all the force of law, put into effect their prejudices or their squabbles or their problems. And then the second phase that I go into is the bad actors. So after we have abusive neighbors who have become the head of the HOA, then we have the bad actors who they're normally for-profit companies like management companies and HOA attorneys that are normally collections attorneys that also see the HOA as a paycheck. There's no oversight. So if they come in and they use it as a bank account for them to use, there's no one watching them. And I just wanted, since we've talked about those, I don't want to touch on them too much. The third and most important part that I explain is the industry. So there's an industry that is a multi-billion-dollar industry that has grown around this lack of oversight. And I'll say some organizations that we've seen. So just as an example, what I've seen with our bad actors and our directors, we've seen what's called the Community Associations Institute. Okay. So they're a lobbying organization and they give lots of educational materials, but their main thrust is we have a right, investors have a right to profit, a constitutional right to profit, which we have a lot of local investors that have supported us in saying there's a point at which you have a right to profit and you infringe upon people's constitutional rights to have the enjoyment of their property that they have bought, American homeowners. And you can't have them go under the wheels of your well-oiled machine. So just as an example, and you all have heard these stories, so I'm just going to touch briefly, and if someone wants to see them, they can see the other session. But the original management company, Homeowners Management LLC, CAI certified. Okay. We had to, they had collusion with, from the evidence we found with things that were going on in the neighborhood. Then we had Dunlap and Gardner, who was aiding them, who supported the board that went against our recall. And they are also CAA certified. If you go on their website, there's actually them, I think, at a CAA conference or something. And then Lesagan Johansson, when we fired our HOA attorneys and they didn't want to accept that, they did a substitution of counsel through court to have Lesagan Johansson, who accepted, come in as our attorneys. This is without our board's approval. Lesagan Johansson is one of the platinum donors to CAI Georgia. So outside of the individual CAI Community Associations Institute, I would call them, and this is, I'm expressing my opinion with all this,
Yes.
to respect homeowners' rights as much as the industry's rights. Because the reason that we bring in attorneys and we bring in management companies is to protect the homeowners'
Correct.
investment, not the company's investment. So when you come into my neighborhood, our neighborhood, our neighborhoods, then it's not the same mentality. It's not the same priority as those who are living there. And that's where the priority should be. So we, CI is probably the largest. It's not the only one, but my point is, I'm just giving an example that there is an industry that is training the same bad actors that we have had issues with. And normally the rhetoric is that they're trying to help attorneys protect themselves from homeowners. Our attorney's favorite book is When Atlas Shrugged. So I'm sure that they call us looters in their spare time. There is a mentality that homeowners are out to get all of the industry professionals. But I hope that with your bill as the ombudsman, that we can go against this mentality and convince the lobbyists from the other side, because I consider myself on the homeowner side, that instead of just giving education to management companies on how they can manage and have influence over boards, or attorneys how they can avoid litigation because homeowners are just out to litigate them or to not pay dues, is educate homeowners.
I understand.
And so I
know
don't see
your
that from
agreement
them.
has been up for a long time.
Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, thank you
But-
for telling me, because I need someone to stop me, but
No,
that's
no,
the
no.
big picture is that they're,
You're enlightening us on really the information. I wish everybody was still here so they could hear this.
hopefully they'll watch the video.
Okay.
But those are the three main things: is big lobbying organizations that want to favor the industry over homeowners, in
Mhm.
my opinion, and then bad actors,
Thank
and
you.
then
Thank you.
individuals. So thank you all for your time. I don't want to
Thank
keep
you
anyone any
very
longer.
much.
The only one who's benefited from this has been my strength over there in the red shirt. So
sir. And your beautiful wife over there.
yeah, so he's had a
So
good,
thank you for
a
your
good run on the
patience.
iPhone while we've been
And I
doing
should
it.
thank him because he's still here and not aggravating anybody. You got a good little
course.
wife. Thank you. Okay, thank you all. Thank you
You need
for
it.
being to the end. And believe me, it's not going on deaf ears. Thank you so much. Thank you. And to my senator and state reps, I thank you. Let us come together and actually do something to resolve this issue. Thank you. Hey, I hear. Adjourned at what time?
7:34.
7:34. Thank you.